What's up, YouTube? It's Mudkip Army here to bring my first YouTube video ever. Well, actually, my first YouTube video ever, so, yeah. Well, since this is my first video, I figured I'd give you a short little introduction about myself and, I don't know, my experience in the game, and what I'm all about. So, I live in Central California, I'm 17, I've been playing this game for about, I'm going to say 2 years now, which a lot of you guys doesn't seem like a long time at all, but even though it isn't that long, I have learned significantly a lot about this game, and what it takes to be good at it, and also kind of what I think's fun in it, and what's I don't know, little not fun in it. So you could say I've had a little bit of experience, but I'll get into that later. Well, anyways, I figured since this is my first video, I would do kind of an introduction about the deck that I've been running lately, and so I can kind of open into a segment about this deck later on. So here it goes. Now I'm going to start talking about this deck, which, as you can see by this point, that it's more than likely about beasts, because we got good old Broken Horn of the Phantom Beast right here. So freaking good. Well, anyways, it's pretty much a deck that's based around 2 key cards. Or actually, multiple key cards, but I'll get into that. Flame Tiger, of course. Galactic Overlord, just beast card in general. That wasn't meant to be a joke, but Chain Dog right here, who kind of have similar effects, and when used in tandem, they really shine, especially with a lot of the other support I have in here. So I'll just do a quick run through of basically how it works. I figure I'll start talking about Flame Tiger and why he's pretty much the key player in the deck, or probably the runner-up in the deck. Well, anyways, he is a level 4 fire beast monster, and his effect is during your draw phase, this card's in your graveyard and you don't have any monsters, you can skip your draw and then special summon this. And once it's special summoned this way, if it leaves the field, it's banished. Notice how it says leaves the field. So it pretty much, anytime it's used for a sync or is destroyed by battle or attributed, it's removed. But however, the way I play it is I Xyz with it, so this condition, due to broken Xyz mechanics, doesn't go through. So I get to keep bringing it back and bringing it back if I lose field control. So yeah, just pretty much good card in general, and I pretty much run 3 in every version of this deck. It's just too good. Next key player in the deck is probably my personal favorite monster in the whole engine, and it's Chain Dog. He's a level 4 Earth Beast monster. His effect is kind of like Flame Tiger's, but not necessarily the same. They both have the banished effect, but I'll read it. It says, this card cannot be used as a synchro material monster except for the synchro summon of a beast monster. If you control 2 face-up beast monsters, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. That line right here is what makes this card so viable in this deck. Just the fact that you have any 2 beasts or more on the field, you just bring them out straight from the grave. So it may not seem like a huge difference early on, but I try to fill up my grave pretty fast with these. So I've had lots of times where I fill up my grave with Flame Tiger and 3 Chain Dogs, and I can go from 0 field control to 5 monsters on the field in 1 turn. Just crazy stuff. And of course, Flame Tiger, it has the whole, when it's removed from the field, it's banished, but once again, due to broken Xyz mechanics, it stays here. So now I'm going to get into how this whole strategy fits together. Let's get right into this. Alright, let's just say your opponent has cleared your field of all monsters, and you think you're screwed. However, you're a smart player, so what you do is you get Flame Tiger into the grave as soon as possible before this happens. So even though your opponent just cleared your field, you essentially just got a monster for free right onto your field, and it's not too bad of a monster. 1800 attack, level 4. You could work with it by itself, but with this deck, it's never nothing by itself. It's always working with other parts. So let's say Flame Tiger is in your grave, and you special summon him. Now what you want to do is let's see, you could probably special summon any, or normal summon any level 4 monster from your hand, and go straight into, like, an Xyz, like Maestroke right here. However, if you planned ahead like you should in this deck, you've gotten at least one Chain Dog in your grave, preferably multiple, but let's just say you have one. So let's say you special summon, or normal summon, sorry about that. Normal summons like a level 4, or it doesn't even have to be level 4, any beast from your hand, and you've just fulfilled Chain Dog's requirements. Bring them out, and here you've just gone from a field of 0 monsters to a field of 3 monsters, and all of them have to be over 1600 attack. And that's just conservative right there. Like I said earlier, you easily get a lot of Chain Dogs in your grave if you use the milling methods, or just I don't know, just working them to get in there real quick. So now we have 3 level 4s on the field, and you have so many options with this. You can go, I don't know, if you want expensive stuff, you can just pile all 3 of these up and then go for something like Bylon de Sigma, or what's it called, Shockmaster. However, what you can also do is, say you can go for a Synchro if you want. Not with Chain Dog, of course, because he can only be for Beast Synchro monsters, and as we know, there aren't too many good Beast Synchro monsters. I think it's just the Unicorn or something, so that's kind of out of the question. But if you want, you could go with Flame Tiger. But I don't really suggest this too much, as, well, Scrap Beast is the tuner, but I wouldn't suggest this unless you have at least 2 Flame Tigers in your grave, because this is a valuable resource for this deck, and you just don't want to trash that easy. But if you say you have a couple Flame Tigers in your grave, you can just Synchro up and go for level 8. However, what you will be doing a lot in this deck is just making Xyz. That's how this deck works. It's just Xyz after Xyz. So pile these up, and there you have your Xyz. However, more realistically in this situation, you would want to do Flame Tiger over Chain Dog, because, like I said, their effects. Let's say your opponent, I don't know, banish this because it can't stop the effects. Instead of these being banished, like they would because of their own effects, they would just go straight to the grave, and you can use them right again. So definitely, if you have a choice between monsters that you can use as Synchro material, or Xyz, I'm sorry, definitely go for Flame Dog and Chain Tiger, because you can just keep recycling this engine over and over and over again, and it really annoys your opponent, just being able to go from 0 to advantage every turn. And now, I think I'm going to start talking about the next part of this deck, which is another crucial part that helps this deck flow, and this is, of course, Scrap Engine. Alright, although these 2 monsters right here make up a good portion of the plays you're going to use with this deck, you can't just rely solely on one play for a deck to work. It's just unrealistic, it's not logical, so of course we're going to have not really a secondary engine, but more of a symbiotic engine working in this, and this is of course the Scrap Engine. Well, 2 cards, so 2-card engine. Well, anyways, it revolves around this card, Scrap Chimera, who's of course a level 4 beast, so no problem working with Flame Tiger and Chain Dog, like that whole cycle. And he's Earth, and he has 1700 attack. And his effect is, this card cannot be used as Synchro material monsters except for the Synchro of a Scrap monster, so it's kind of limiting, but when you consider the Scrap Synchro monster is one of the best, so Scrap Dragon, it's not much of a limitation. And all other Synchro material monsters must also be Scrap monsters. When this card is normal summoned, you can select one Scrap Tuner monster in your graveyard and special summon it. That line right here is what makes this so viable, because he works amazingly with Scrap Beast, who's a level 4 beast monster, 1600 attack, Earth, and his effect is, if this face-up defense position card is selected as an attack target, destroy this card at the end of the battle phase. If this card is destroyed by the effect of a Scrap card and sent to the graveyard, you can select one Scrap monster in your graveyard except Scrap Beast and add it to your hand. So his effect, it's pretty good. It's nothing that you're gonna run home about, but if you're in a tight situation, it can really help you out. And say you have Scrap Dragon out in the field, it can help recycle your engine by bringing this guy back. But pretty much how it works is, this guy is in your grave. I know this deck does evolve a lot around the grave, so we're of course going to use Foolish Burial, Dark Will Dealings, those sort of cards where you can just kind of dump to your grave. In addition, a lot of the milling cards, like a couple Light Sworns, of course Raikou, because he's also a beast. So, yeah, so get this guy in the grave, and then bring this guy out, Scrap Chimera. His effect goes off because Scrap Beast is a Scrap Tuner, and you get to special summon him. So now you can essentially go for a level 4 Xyz, or if you want, you can go for Scrap Dragon. If the situation calls for it. Either one is great. It's a great play. But now, let's say your grave's really good. You've been setting up, you've been playing a little bit longer game, and you have this guy in your grave, this guy in your grave, and this guy in your grave. I know what you're thinking. That's really unrealistic, but I thought so too until I kept getting it consistently game after game after game. So what I do is, say my opponent is just bearing down on me. They got, I don't know, what's a good card? I don't know. It's like, say they got Grapha or something out and a couple other monsters. Of course, use Flame Tiger's effect. Bring that sucker out. And now, let's say I have Scrap Chimera in my hand as my level 4 beast. Special summon this, or normal summon. God, why am I keep doing that? Normal summon him, and his effect goes off. So bring out Scrap Beast from your grave. So now you got 3 monsters from 0. Oh, but that's not all, as Billy Mays would say. You also bring out Chain Dog, because you have more than 2 beasts on the field. So now, one turn, you've gone from 0 monsters on the field, 0, to 4. And now you could probably go for Maestroke, or any other level 4, or rank 4 Xyz. I'm just using Maestroke as an example because I'm lazy and it's the one within arm's reach. You can go for Scrap Dragon, or if you want, you can go for some ridiculous 3 card Xyz and just wail on your opponent. So yeah, that's just how this deck works. And of course, what's a good engine if you don't have the cards to back it up? So here I'm going to show you about all the cards that help make this engine work so viably.